don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah.
It's not that. But like,
Totally.
Yeah, but again, I would probably think about it. I also wanted to say, what is your thoughts on something like an OnlyFans? Is that, I suppose, OnlyFans empowering for women or detrimental?
Oh, I think that like we're getting to a space now where women have way more control and ownership and agency over their bodies. So I'm all for it. If like I have some friends that are making a hell of a lot of money on OnlyFans. So I'm like, get it, like go get it. If that's what they choose to do with their bodies, then amazing. I think that they're making a lot more money doing it that way than they are, you know, like potentially engaged, like filming some kinds of porn where they're not getting paid well. So at least they're in more control of the money that they're making with their bodies.
Yeah, and I'm like, if you can make money, make money. Like I always think that. But you know, earlier when we were talking about not using sex as currency, but then that is using your sexuality as a literal currency.
But there's a difference between weaponizing the currency by withholding it to get something that you want versus like doing it for a profession where you're just kind of taking control and having full ownership of that. Women have always been sexualized in culture.
Yep.
And I think that for the first time kind of ever, we just have a lot more control of our own bodies. So I think that like sex work is real work, you know, like it's something that we've been sexualized and sexually objectified for like years and years and years without getting paid for it. So it's like if we can make money out of it now, do it. That's my personal view.
No, that's interesting. And I hadn't thought of it from that point of view, but it is available. It's a really interesting point of view.
And most of the people that are complaining about it, oh man. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm certainly not complaining about it, but I think it's interesting because like maybe this is an overly simplistic view, but are you not objectifying yourself for the pleasure of men?
No, not at all. I think that it's just, again, taking ownership and agency of your own sexuality. I think that that's like quite a like sex negative viewpoint on that, I think. And I think that if you want to take agency and you get something out of that, whether it just turns you on or you're making money from it, I think that sexual objectification is something that's seen through the male gaze. So I think that thinking that you're sexually objectifying yourself is something that is, it's just, it's through the male gaze, essentially. Yeah. Does that make sense?
So maybe 50-50. I certainly see where you're coming from. I 100% do. But, you know, if sexually objectifying yourself, you are essentially selling your body to men. Like, to be realistic with women, 90% of their subscribers would be men, probably more. And maybe creepy old dudes in basements. I don't know. Like, but
sexual objectification, though, to be devil's advocate, is...
No, please, yeah.
Like, you're the one sexually objectifying them. You can't really sexually objectify yourself. That's sexual objectification is like the lens in which through you're looking at something. So
how would you just... So how would you describe
if you're like
something like... Sorry, I didn't...
No, that's all good. No, you go.
I was going to say, so how would you describe it then? If you how would you describe marketing yourself and selling your sexuality? Yeah. Because that is what it is. So how would you describe it then if not objectifying yourself?
It's not objectification. I think it's just like promotion and sex work. Like it's not like sexually objectifying yourself. Other people sexually objectify other people. Yep. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It does. Because you're right. Objectifying something is an exterior lens. You can't.
Yeah. It's something that you're doing onto that person. It's a projection of your own attitudes and values, not that person. So if I was to have an OnlyFans account, I wouldn't be sexually objectifying myself. You would potentially be looking at me doing this thing, sexually objectifying me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that thing of like sex work is real work, you know, like it's a profession, it's a career, people are making money from it. You can definitely promote yourself sexually, but I don't know. But some people also like being sexually objectified. And there's lots of kinks and fetishes that kind of like facilitate that too. But I think that a good thing for you to potentially think about is, the sexual objectification comes from your lens, not theirs. Yep.
No, that does make sense. Yeah. It does make sense, absolutely. Yeah. And I take from the way you're talking, your view on generally speaking on sex work is sex positive and it's a good thing. You think the sex work is this is how naive I am. Is sex work legal in South Australia or is it illegal?
It's decriminalised.
Right. Okay.
So it's different in every state.
Yep.
And the laws are there's a lot of like work, especially from the Greens Party, to help fully legalize it.
Yeah.
Essentially, being decriminalized means that you won't go to jail for doing it, but you could potentially get in trouble for paying for it. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering how that could work. It's just like, okay, if here's an act of someone working in the space that is legal, but if you pay for it, you get in trouble. Does that not seem like a contradiction?
No, that's just it's a step in the right direction. Decriminalization is better than like everyone going to prison. I think
Yes,
the
I
thing
agree.
is like,
Yeah.
I think that it's a thing of sex work has always been around. It's always been, again, this is a thing that women have always been sexually objectified, or they've always been controlled by men, and sex has been a big thing that men have controlled in women a lot of the time. That's why sexual violence happens a lot. That's why things like rape happen a lot. And I think that the only reason it's so frowned upon is because women are finally taking, and I say women as a generalization, all genders engage in sex work, but I'll just say women for the sake of this conversation.
I would say, would I be wrong in saying a larger percentage would be women?
Don't know that statistic.
Neither.
Don't know.
That was pure hearsay.
I don't know. Probably, to be honest. I think that a huge reason for like the negative ideologies of sex work is because women are finally taking control of their own bodies and actually charging for it now. So it's like men are upset because they have always gotten it for free and they've always had the right to get it whenever they want. And now that as soon as you put a monetary value on it and women are getting something out of it, then it's viewed as this really bad negative thing. So it's like it's quite contradictory in that way.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is
Yeah.
contradictory.
Yeah.
And, you know, if there's, from the point of view of how I suppose sacred the sex can be between a couple or in a marriage and how the intimacy that comes with that, could you not say that something like sex work and OnlyFans and things of this nature almost cheapen it?
Not at all.
No?
I think, no, absolutely not. I think that it kind of just, again, like just kind of degrades sex work and the different types of sex that you can have. I think that lots of people engage in lots of different types of sex that aren't only in a marriage between a man and a woman, for example.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I think that that understanding that and knowing that is a really beautiful part of being so sex positive. And sex work has a lot of different places for a lot of different people. You know, like you can engage in sex work, you know, as someone with a disability that might not be able to have sex without, like with someone that's not like they need a sex worker to have that, because people with disabilities also deserve to have healthy, happy sex lives.
Yeah.
A sex worker doesn't take away the intimacy or purity of sex within a couple dynamic. I think that two things can exist and be happening simultaneously. One doesn't take away from the other.
Of course.
It doesn't like degrade sex.
Do you think something like that high body count could?
No, not at all. I think that that's a really big
I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm
misconception.
just throwing the question
No,
to you.
totally.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I think that is a really sex negative view that we've been taught our entire lives in terms of body count. And I think, again, as long as everyone's happy, safe and consenting, body count shouldn't dictate your character or who you are as a person.
Yeah, no, I agree. In the space of, and you sort of briefly